right, Dr. Dylan here. Here's another shoulder mobility setup. So we're looking at external rotation at the shoulder, which is going to be the hand rotating up, or you can think about like the touchdown sign if it was with both arms. For this setup, we're going to use 4 yoga blocks. You can use other things that will be able to prop your elbow and your arm up. These work out pretty well. You can set them to different heights depending on where your current mobility is. So the position is going to be on your stomach. Remember, you can do this on one arm if you only have 1 or 2 blocks, or I like to do it on 2 as well. But again, this depends on the mobility that you have also. So one block is going to go under the elbows. That way when I'm on my stomach, my elbow is going to be at the height of the shoulder, not too far downwards. The other block I'll set to the height that I need, so it can be on, say, level 1 here, level 2, or level 3. This requires the most mobility. So on the stomach, elbows will be straight out to the sides from the shoulder in this position. And again, depending on where your mobility is at, you can start here. You can see that's putting me into this externally rotated position already. I can raise the blocks up to the next level here. And where I'm going to go is on, or end over end, into this position here. So my elbows will be down on the blocks. My hands are here. My shoulders are fully externally rotated. And as I drop my head and my chest down, it's going to add a little bit more into the stretch. When you're in this position, try and rest the blocks on your wrist, not necessarily the hand that can extend the hand backwards, but you want a good solid position to allow it to drive your shoulders or the forearms up, which will externally rotate the shoulders into the stretch. Once you set up the position, you can hang out and focus on that passive stretch. Here I would be breathing with an in count of 3 to 4 seconds and an out of 6 to 8 seconds. Again, just to relax, elongate the tissues, and make sure that I'm at my end range prior to getting into the next portion, which are the pails and rails. So following the passive stretch, we'll get into a few sets of pails and rails. Pails, we're going to be pushing down into internal rotation, and then rails, we're going to be driving up into external rotation. So from here, internal rotation is this direction, pushing down into the block. External rotation will be driving upwards. Remember, ease into the pails or downwards into that internal rotation direction, and then you'll immediately go into as hard of an effort upwards into your rails as you can. If you need more information on pails and rails, I have another video explaining that information. So from this position here, I'll be at my end range, fully stretched out. Take a deep breath in, radiate tension through the rest of the body. Gradually start pushing down into the blocks. I'm initiating internal rotation, building that pressure up, and I'm driving down into the blocks as hard as I can, comfortably. And into the rails, I'm initiating external rotation, trying to lift my hands up from the blocks. Remember, you're at your end range or your full stretch here, so you should not actually be lifting up off of the blocks. Hold the contraction and then relax. So that was the passive stretch for shoulder external rotation. Again, using two blocks or 4 blocks at a time. If you want to do one side at a time, we can set up the same position, and then all you have to do to add a little bit to it is start to slowly rotate your chest and your head the opposite direction and dropping down towards the floor to fine-tune that stretch a little bit more. That may be easier if you do have any significant restrictions on one side compared to the other. Start with the static stretch, breathe into that position, let it elongate, relax, make sure you're at your end range. Do some pails and rails to build some more mobility and tolerance in that position. And then there may be a few other drills that you may want to add after that. Here, let's go through a couple passive range liftoffs. So same position with these blocks. I was stretching at this highest level. Now I'm going to drop it down to that medium level. So I want a little bit of range of motion to work with for my liftoffs. I'll be in that same starting position. I'm going to irradiate tension. I'm just going to lift off from here up to my end range, focusing just on that external rotation. So again, irradiate, take that breath in, and you can lift off into external rotation. Slowly lower back down, tap the block, lift off, and down, lift off, and down, lift off, and down. 2 more, lift off. Good. And last one. And perfect. So the passive range lift off is just going through the end portion of your range of motion. Again, you'll drop down slightly out of it, and then you'll practice on building control and strength into that position. Of course, you can add some resistance later on as you get used to it to challenge yourself a little bit more, but we're trying to facilitate some strengthening at that end range position. Here's another view of the external rotation mobility drill using the yoga blocks on your stomach from the side this time. So I will set it up the same. Blocks will be supporting the elbows onto the stomach. Elbows out to the sides, elbows bent to 90 degrees. From here you can see I'm into that externally rotated position. I'll lower the chest and the head down towards the floor, making sure that I'm getting to my end range, again into external rotation, which is this direction coming up. Internal rotation is here. Our pales and rails, pales pushing down into that internal rotation direction, and the rails will be driving up into further external rotation.